Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Harriet Creates. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you how I made the outer edges of the kitchen cabinets. I was donated a lot of scrap wood from my partner, and a lot of this wood was quite malleable. So I started off with some measurements of how high and big the normal kitchen cabinets are in a normal kitchen, and then converting those into inches. Or feet, and then from feet into inches. And discovered that it is slightly longer than one of them. So here I am sticking two of the sides together, and then I will be cutting them into shape. I am using a hot glue gun to do this because I was after a bit of speed rather than solidifying them. I can always use wood glue. I can always use wood glue later. Once they were all glued together, I then went through and cut them to size. Also made sure to be forming different patterns and structures using the layout of the kitchen that I have on this piece of paper. There is a lot of glue going into this, and there are a lot of angles to consider, and I am very dyslexic, so there's a lot of maths that I did not do, and instead I am just eyeballing it. Now this is not the best method, and I did take time to measure everything and then to cut everything out, but because I'm not exact with the measurements, like whether the wall slants and how tall everything should be and the general height of the room, this made it so that I ran into some slight complications later. This is also where you get to see the progression of the craft table. So before, the first video was in the living room, and now this is me at the craft table. My housemate went out of her way really to make sure that I had a space to craft, and I am incredibly grateful. She has been one of the biggest supporters of this journey. I really struggled to get started, mainly because I think I set the expectation of what this house was going to turn into way too high. I worried that my mum wouldn't like it. I worried that I'd be breaking it or messing it up. And yeah, she has been one of the biggest instigators of getting me to where I am today, to the point where I'm able to look back on these videos with pride. And even though I'm now seeing some glaring things, I now know what I would do differently, and it's made it a wonderful learning process. When I was creating these, I knew that they were going to be a shell. I knew that there would be cabinet like sides and doors and drawers and things added in, but there's still a shell. And I wanted to solidify it as much as possible, mainly the top. So I had a little plan for adding in some clay so that they had like a finished top, but the top of it right now, as you can see, is very uneven. So instead I bought something called Creative Concrete, that I will be using to solidify and even out the top of the counters. What you have just witnessed is me suddenly remembering that I don't have a sink. Yeah, I put them all in the house. I thought, this looks amazing. I made a table and some chairs and I was like, this is great, look at us. And then it then dawned on me that I don't actually have a sink in the kitchen. So that was me using a Stanley knife to cut a sink shape into one of the counters. The great thing about this craft clay, concrete, I found it on Hobbycraft and it's water soluble, but you can smooth it down so that it has a smooth finish. It's also sandable, and so I have used it, I think I used it twice for 2 layers on everything, the oven arch, the kitchen counters, so that the oven arch will be painted and the kitchen counters will be covered in some air dry clay that I'll be able to turn into like a marble, I'm thinking a marble finish. But yeah, this is me doing a second coat and you can completely smooth it down. I found a little spatula works best to make it as smooth as possible. This makes it really easy to get a good thin coat and a better surface to sand on because it's all mostly smooth, and making sure it's even. It doesn't hold on to the adhesive in masking tape, which I found really helpful. I was quite worried that it might do a similar thing to resin where it just clings and holds on to the adhesive. But yeah, it sands pretty well and makes it all smooth. It's also really strong and helps bond things. So where some of the counters were a little bit flimsy because the glue had dried and the wood had kind of come away, it has helped to form a really solid top for the counters that will mean that I will be able to attach clay and doors and things to these without worrying that the top is going to warp in any way. I do apologise for this bit. I didn't realise I'd moved ever so slightly out of camera's focus and shot. But yeah, this is me putting on the second coat and just making sure it's generally as smooth as possible, which is made incredibly easy with this spatula. And there it is in the house, with all of the masking tape taken off. I'm very, very happy with the way this looks. It's giving me a wonderful insight into what the final outlook will look like. And I'm really, really happy with the progress. And I'm very, very thankful that those who pushed me did so. Because I think it's becoming a vision. There's still a long way to go, but I'm now able to see it. For the context of these clips, created a dust box. So it is basically a cardboard box with quite a deep amount of space. That means that I can sand within it and not get the dust everywhere. I live in a flat in England, and the weather here makes it not the best for trying to sand things outside, and we have no outdoor cover that I can really stand in that is sheltered and away from people and won't deter people from using a public place. So I have created a dust box, so it means that I can sand my creations in a contained environment that won't get dust everywhere, won't get dust on the carpet or the clothes, and will keep it where it needs to be. I've seen a similar thing used for spray paint, having a spray box. That is something that I will look to also do with some cardboard boxes in the future, just so that I'm not putting anyone's lungs in a difficult position or making it so that my housemates also have to live in the dust I have created, because that's not fair. And there we go. Once they were all sanded down, I'm going to finish the inside of the cabinets before I put the clay on the top. And I made sure to paint the oven arch this brilliant white colour, because that's what I'm thinking of doing for the walls. As we've got some coloured tiles on, the wall with the window in, I'm thinking of maybe doing a pattern of some description or a stamp, just to give it a bit of pizzazz. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the creation of these little cabinets. And I hope you too can also see the vision of where this project is going and are also enjoying seeing it come together, as I have enjoyed making it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next one. Goodbye.